Hey everyone, I am here today to share the biblical fiction reads that I read for June 2020. I actually read a lot more than what I usually do every single month, so I wanted to go ahead and share with you which ones I did. The first one is Slender Reads Jochebed's Hope, which is a story about Moses' mother. This one was all right. Honestly, I had it for a book club read for the book club that I run myself, which is called Readers of Biblical Fiction Book Club on Facebook. You can find us on there. We read a biblical fiction book each month. This one actually was all right. I wouldn't really recommend reading it again, and I couldn't connect with the characters, unfortunately, in this one. The storyline was just a little too harsh and a little too far-fetched for me, unfortunately. The next one is Claiming Canaan, which is Milka's story by Barbara M. Britton. I have read the second one in this series, and then I actually also read the first one in this series this month. This one was the last one. I love this series, and I really love this author. I actually won all three of these books from giveaways from her, and I have enjoyed every last one of them. So I am really looking forward to when she writes some more biblical fiction. And this one finishes up the series of the daughters of Zephalah. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce his name, Zephaphat. I think that's how you say it. And he is from the time of the Exodus. Okay, the next one is Journey to the Well by Diana Wallace Taylor. This book was excellent. This one was a recommendation, and I ended up finding it in one of my bookstores around here, and I just had a fit. It was a great book. It is about the woman at the well that Jesus speaks to, the woman who had had 5 husbands, and the man that she was with was not her husband. That's what Jesus has said. This was an amazing book. It told her story, it told her background, and how she was able to find forgiveness through Jesus. It was a great read. Sarai by Jill Eileen Smith. This one was okay. Honestly, I love Jill Eileen Smith, but in this book, it was kind of hard because Sarai was portrayed more like she was very spoiled and very bitter. And I mean, honestly, yeah, I would be bitter if I couldn't have children and that's all that I wanted to do. And then my husband was able to have a child with someone else. I would be bitter and jealous too. But I mean, she did give Hagar to Abram to have children with, but you know, her story is so complicated. This book was okay, honestly. I would probably say about 3.5 stars for that one, honestly, but I would still say to read it because it was still a good book. And this was a book club read for me from another book club that I'm in. Okay, so here's the first one in the series about the daughters of Zephaphat. And this one is Lioness, Malah's Journey by Barbara M. Britton. This one starts off the series for the girls. This one is excellent. Once you read this one, you're going to be hooked. You've got to see what happens to the other daughters. She finishes the series with 3, the series is 3 books, even though there's 5 daughters. She does do the three main girls. And how they ended up getting their land when they got into Canaan, even though that their father had no sons, and you know, inheritance back then, it was unheard of for a woman to get land, but God gave them land. So it was an amazing read. Okay, The Heart of a King, The Loves of Solomon, Jill Eileen Smith. This one was great. I would have to say this was definitely 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. Solomon is portrayed pretty much as, you know, really a woman lover. Let's just put it that way. But I mean, honestly, he must have really loved women in real life in the Bible because he had like 900 something wives. So he must have really loved women. But it tells the point of view of how he ended up meeting 4 of the different wives that he had that we know of from the Bible. And just the effects that it took on him, and how at first he was so bold for God, and then at the very end, he had ended up having the kingdom ripped apart in 2 from him. So this one was an excellent read. And then this is the last one, Return to Me by Lynn Austin. This is the very first of the Restoration Chronicles. This was actually recommended to me. I haven't read it, and I've never read it. This was the first time that I ever tried it, and I had been seeing it all over the place, and I was like, oh, well, and you know, I'm not really into that kind. Guys, if you haven't read this book, you're going to be hooked. This book had me on the edge of my seat. I love this book, and usually I'm not really a big fan of books that are based on men. I like reading about women more in the biblical times, but this one is about Zechariah and his grandfather Iddo and how they were finally coming back from Babylon out of the exile and coming back to help build Jerusalem back. This book was amazing. It's a 3-part series, and I already have the 3rd one. I have to order the 2nd one, and it was just great. So you guys have to check this book out if you haven't read it yet. So again, these are all the books that I read this month, for June. So, this is number 5, 6, and 7. So, yeah, so I've been knocking some stuff out with the quarantine. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you want to join my biblical fiction book group on Facebook, find us. It's linked in the description below so that you can check it out, and you're more than welcome to join. And again, we read one book every single month, so I hope you guys enjoyed.